Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. This is, what's your name? She's feeling real shy all of a sudden. This is Destiny. She's 4. And today I want to share with you, actually the last month I started making a list of all the homesteading skills that we do around here. I do not consider myself a homesteader because everybody defines it differently. A lot of people, even in apartments, consider themselves homesteaders. They're growing a little pot of herbs or whatever. And that's cool. However you define it is great. I personally tend to think about people who are growing most of their own food. She's just gonna keep you going. And we don't grow, or not most, but a good portion of it. And we don't grow much at all. Our garden just has not done well since we moved in this house. And we definitely have a goal of producing a lot of our own food in the future. That's not where we're at right now. However, I was really surprised at how long my list was when I came up with all of these skills that we have built over the years. And most of them have come about to both save money and eat healthy. And I would say all of them have helped us eat healthier and save money in the end. And so I wanted to share that list with you today. I actually have a lot of things to do in my kitchen this morning, so I'll bring you along as I'm doing those as well. I'm going to make some butter. We're in a no-spend January month, so we need to make some butter. We have some in the freezer and stuff that we stored, but it would be good to have some fresh stuff with the raw milk that we are buying. And then I want to make some mozzarella cheese. I did it successfully many times last month, so I'm gonna make some of that. Hopefully we'll be able to make pizzas with it maybe this week. Should we make pizzas? And then I also am going to make some yogurt, which I've been doing for years and years and years. So we'll get those things done and get some bread in the bread maker, some dough, and also get dinner in dinner in the crock pot. So I'll show you all that I'm doing while I'm sharing these skills with you. But first, let's check in with the children and see how they're all doing. Seth, how are you doing? Who's that? How are you? Are you feeling shy today? Are you still in your PJs? Hope, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, everything going good in your life? Okay. Noelle, how are you? Good. You don't want to be on camera this morning? Eli? Oh, okay. That's what's new in your life, huh? How's it going, Micah?
It's going pretty good.
Yeah?
Thank you for asking.
Peace, how are you? Are you hanging out with your best friend? Miss Emily is her best friend. Emily helps me out around here a couple days a week, and Peace loves her. When we say Emily's name, she looks at the front door looking for her. Are you tired? She just woke up. Oh my goodness, we can't even get eye contact. Oh, there it is. Tori's hanging out with a friend this morning. Luka is at work this morning, works at a coffee shop. Belle's getting ready. She has an interview today somewhere for a job. And Judah's off on a ski trip with friends in Wyoming somewhere. So that's where we're at. Let's get started. Okay, as we're starting with the projects I'm doing this morning, one of the things that we have started doing that is definitely a homesteading thing is if you can't produce your own, you buy local. So we've been buying raw local milk and also eggs too. We have a friend who gives us eggs when she has a lot extra. Otherwise we buy them from the same farmer we get the milk from. We drive far and wide for this stuff, but it is liquid gold. It's very good to drink. And since buying raw milk, we've had a lot of opportunities to learn a lot more skills because you can do so much with the raw milk, like make butter, which I'm about to do. So if you see, there's a cream line on top. I don't know if you can tell in there in the camera, but it's right there. So everything from here up is heavy cream, and I'm just gonna pull that off of these 2 gallons. We buy 12 gallons at a time every 2 weeks, and then we use a little bit of it to make yogurt and cheese and butter and drink the rest of it. Since we started drinking raw milk, actually my son's diaper rashes went away. You need this bread. And our allergies, as Belle and Solo particularly suffer from terrible seasonal allergies, and they have completely disappeared. Solo said, I can't tell you how many times that he just never remembers not having horrible allergies. It's been miraculous. If you think about it, the cows are eating the grass that's local here, so they're getting the pollen and all of that. It's been even better for us than raw honey, which we had tried many times, and so we're getting that those antibodies, I guess. It's been really wonderful for us. So not necessarily cheaper, that one thing, but definitely a huge help in our health. Okay, the cream I got off of these was not very thick this time. Sometimes it's really thick, sometimes it's not. I think it depends on where the cow is in different phases. Also, how long it's been sitting. So I'm going to let that cream sit a little bit at room temperature, get her at least a little bit closer to room temperature because it tends to make up into butter much easier that way. And I'm gonna take 1 gallon of the skimmed milk. It's not fully skimmed, but I'm going to use it to make yogurt in my pressure cooker. Poured it in there. You could just as easily do it on the stove. I put it on, whoops, I'm not pushing the right button, there we go. I put it on boil, and then when it's done, I make sure it came up to 180 degrees. If it didn't, I put it on saute until it does. After it hits 180 degrees, then we pull it out, let it cool on the counter till it gets down to 110 degrees. We put in some yogurt from the last batch, just a little bit, like a half cup. Mix that in and put it in for like, I don't know, 12, 15 hours and just let it sit on the yogurt setting on low. Or sometimes I used to do it in my crock pot and just put it in the oven with only the light on, nothing else but the light on. So it just needs to be in a nice warm environment. And easy enough, you get this beautiful yogurt out of it. We've been doing that for years. That one saves us a lot of money. And it works great with the raw milk. So next up, I'm gonna make some cheese with this batch. So another thing we've been doing for many years is we take all our beans, just the hard raw beans, I guess, and instead of buying cans of beans, we cook our own beans. It does save a lot of money, and it is better for you too. You could be surprised when you start looking at canned foods how many additives can be in there. So big money saver. It's easy to save a lot of beans, like in a prepper type pantry, or just to store a lot of them for the year or whatever you're looking to do. So cooking your own beans is a great one. These days I actually can my own beans, which makes it very convenient, because if you didn't remember to soak the beans or cook them and you need them that night, it can be very inconvenient when you're cooking them from scratch, because they do take a while to cook. But I've been canning them and I love it. Speaking of canning, I've also been canning meat, which saves us a lot of space in our freezer. Another homesteading thing we do, I think, is buying local cows and pigs. So we buy a whole cow or a whole pig at a time. We're a family of 13, so we do eat a lot of meat. Buying in bulk in our meat is a huge money saver. So we get all the cuts. Usually they are all cheaper per pound than the ground beef that you find at the store, but we're getting even steaks at that price. All kinds of cuts, and it's so super convenient to have it all in your freezer. So we've been doing that with whole pigs and whole cows for a while, but canning the meat from them not only helps save some room in the freezer and have some things that are just shelf stable, it also makes for a really quick and easy dinner when you come to dinner time and you haven't canned it. My favorite things to can are stewed beef or chopped up pork, like pork roasts that I've chopped up and canned, and then also chicken breasts and chicken thighs that I have cut up and saved. So we don't buy our chicken locally yet. We would like to raise our own one day, but that's something for the future. But canning those have been really good for us. And then we also have canned a lot of spaghetti sauce. So making our own, canning it ahead of time, we know what the ingredients are exactly. A lot of the stuff came from our garden. Would love more of it to come from our garden and to be able to do a lot more of that. And then we can also our own chicken broth and beef broth. So those are some skills we just learned in the last year I did of canning, and I think it was just this last year, but it's gone very well. I wouldn't go back. I love it. My favorite thing that I got is finally a digital pressure canner. It is so mindless. Very easy, and that's been really fun to learn and do. Definitely a skill that could help us if we're homesteading in the future. All right, on to the mozzarella cheese making. I'm gonna use a 1/4 teaspoon of animal rennet in this 1/4 cup of water. And then I'm gonna use 1½ teaspoons of the citric acid in 1 cup of water. And I'll just dissolve that quickly. So I'm taking that citric acid water and I'm pouring it in my pot. And then I'm gonna pour in my gallon of milk that I've skimmed a little. And you could do it with skim or full fat. And then I'm going to bring it up to 100 degrees while I'm stirring constantly. Okay, I am at 100 degrees, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull that right off the stove. Since I have an electric stove, I move it because otherwise it won't cool off for a long time. And then I'm gonna pour in the animal rennet. And for about 30 seconds, I'm going to stir it just in this up and down motion, so it goes all the way, gets all the way to the bottom. You're not supposed to over stir, but you kind of want to move it up and down like that. Next up, I'm putting a top on it. I'm leaving it here off the heat, and I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes. Let me take you over to my pantry. I'm going to show you a few other things I realized that I do that would be considered like homesteady a little bit. We make our own spice mixes. We make ranch. I like to make my own taco seasoning. I keep it in a container that came from Sam's Club, but we just keep refilling it with our own taco seasoning mix. And that kind of thing, it definitely is for health benefits. It also probably saves money in the end. But there can be a lot of weird additives in those seasoning mixes. So it's very helpful to make up your own. I'll try to leave recipes for those too, specifically down below. I think I've shared them a number of times. It's a quick, easy way for us to make our own ranch dressing, ranch dips, ranch whatever. And we always have taco seasoning on hand. So we keep a lot of bulk spices so that we can make our own seasonings often. Another thing I've been doing recently is making our own brown sugar. We don't make the sugar, we buy the cane sugar, but we've been adding, there's only a little left here. My boys like it in their ramen and we like it in our oatmeal, but we've been adding blackstrap molasses. I got this big thing off of Amazon because I couldn't find any of it locally at stores. I probably just didn't look hard enough, but adding a little bit of this to our sugar makes it brown sugar. Just stir it up. So that is definitely going to save us money in the long term. The brown sugar I was buying was really good quality, but very expensive. So we're still buying the good quality sugar from Azure Standard and then adding this to it. I'll put a recipe for this too if you don't want to just eyeball it. I mostly eyeballed it, but I recently found a good recipe and I'll write that down there too. We make our own hot chocolate mixes. We make our own sweets for the most part. We don't really buy cookies and things from the store very often, although we do sometimes for a special treat, but we just bake our own things a lot. And so my kids love to do that. They do that way more than I do. I did it a lot when I was young and now they've taken over. So that, I guess, would be another thing that would be considered more homesteady. She has a lollipop from Christmas in her mouth. We do make some of our own condiments too, but we haven't been very consistent with that, like ketchup and mayonnaise and those kind of things. It's a lot of work and we go through that stuff fast, but I would like to get back to at least making the mayonnaise again. I can't seem to find a ketchup recipe my kids like, so we're buying that. This child is ready to be a vlogger today. She is all up in that. Let's see if this cream is ready to be made into butter. I'm just gonna start whipping it up. First it will turn into whipped cream, and then I didn't get very much cream off of this, but I have some other gallons in there I think that have thicker cream. It will turn into whipped cream and then it should separate the buttermilk away and turn into butter. It's a fun process. My kids love this part. Okay, it's definitely turning into whipped cream. That's a good sign. I have had it fail before and not become butter, but it is only before I started letting it warm up a little bit, come a little closer to room temperature before trying to make the butter. So with all of these things, I failed on mozzarella cheese several times, and with all of these things, it's a learning process. You got to keep going and learning, and I will stop talking while this thing is being loud. If you want to stop here and add a little sugar in, this is some of the best whipped cream you would ever taste in your life. All right, the timer went off, so I stopped my butter for a second because I want to deal with this cheese. It's looking right. Phew. So I'm gonna go in and cut it. So that was 10 minutes. We're gonna cut it, and then I'm gonna strain off the whey. I'm just gonna pour it in here, but I need both hands, so I'll get right back to you. Now I'm going to use my clean hand here to just make more of the whey drain out. See how it's getting smaller and smaller. Okay, I had to pick it up off the bowl because it was sitting too low in there to get the rest of it out, but you can see it's nice and it's come together. And I'm gonna pour this whey back into this pot. You can do this in the microwave, this next part, but to warm the cheese back up and stretch it, I like to just heat this back up and use the same way to warm it. My last couple batches of mozzarella cheese were pretty tough. They were really more hard cheese, which is good for grating, but I wanted it to be softer, and so the good old internet told me that I'm overstretching it. So like I said, it's always trial and error, learning. I don't think any of these skills turn out perfectly the first time I did them. Sometimes the second, third, fourth time, but when you keep persisting, you find what works for you and in your situation, and you can make it work. So I'm still working on the mozzarella cheese, getting it just how I like it, but we do have some product that we can work with every time, so that's been nice about this one. When I was a kid, I was always amazed at how my mom's hands were so tough. She could wash dishes in way hotter water than I could. She can basically hold pans right out of the oven. And I thought, when I'm a mom, I'm gonna have tough hands too. It didn't happen. Usually when I make mozzarella cheese, my hands are like on fire and So I finally got myself some rubber gloves. I'm excited to use them this time. Apparently I have weak hands. Okay, I'm putting my cheese down in here to melt it a little. Oh, those rubber gloves help a lot. All right, now it's gotten warm enough that it's more stretchy. I think I need to melt it even a little bit more. Okay, I have a cute little ball of mozzarella cheese. You like it? It's cute, right? I did salt it too at some point, but yeah, fairly quick and easy to make a ball of cheese. It's ready right now. My yogurt beeped. It's almost at 180, 175.7 or 8 there. I'm gonna use that saute button there and just get it up that next 5 degrees and then pull it out. I would say for yogurt, the instant pot is not necessary. The thermometer is. So you can do a lot of things with the thermometer and a pot and milk. We got to 180, so this is gonna cool. It'll take like an hour and a half or something to get down to 110. By the way, I used to make yogurt all the time with pasteurized milk. It's just the same exact process. All right, my butter is not working for 2 reasons. One is I know I did not leave it out on the counter enough. We keep our raw milk in a fridge in the garage that is very, very cold. I should have left it out for an hour. That's what I've had the most success with, and I tried to do it too early. And 2, because I'm filming. Of course it didn't work. Things that keep me humble, number 2047. On to homesteading skills that we do. We make our own cereal. It's granola. We've been making this for many, many years. It's way healthier and way cheaper than store-bought cereal. I've got a lot of videos that show that, and I'll never stop making it. It goes really well with homemade yogurt, and it's Seth's favorite meal. In fact, sometimes he wants it for breakfast and lunch. We have also started, a couple years ago, we started saving our baking grease, and we cook with that, which is yummy and saves money. And it's something we had already that we just were not taking advantage of before. We also, I don't have a picture of it or video right now, but when we get green onions from the store, we use them over and over for quite a while before they shrivel up. So we put the end of the green onions, the root part, in a jar right here on our shelf by a window, and it just keeps regrowing. I don't even think it needs much light. We put it in the windowsill often, but it doesn't need much light. And they keep regrowing, and we cut it off to use just on top of foods and stuff. We do that all the time. We get a lot of growth out of it. So if we buy a bunch of green onions 1 month, we don't have to buy it for the next couple months because we're just regrowing them in our kitchen. That's beyond our gardening that we do as well. So we've done it with other things like lettuce. There's a number of things you can regrow that way, but we've had the most success with green onions. So that leads me to my next point, which is preserving food so that it won't go bad. So food that we have store-bought, because like I said, we're not growing so much ourselves. Sometimes we have too much lemons and limes and garlic that I don't want to go bad. We freeze them, we juice them and freeze them into these cubes, and then we put them into bags. I do the same with garlic. I mince up a bunch at once with a little olive oil. We freeze it in cubes, and then we cook with it. So we have fresh garlic, nothing's going bad. It is always our goal to try to keep from things going bad in our house and to be able to preserve them in a way that we can still use them and have good fresh food. All of these skills will go a long way toward if we are able to produce some of our own food. To be able to preserve it helps a ton. I think it's very necessary. That's why so many homesteaders have those skills, and we call them homesteading skills. So it's great to learn things even before you're producing your own food, and it's still extremely useful, saves money, And I was gonna save time, but that's not necessarily true. But it's worth it. It saves health. That's the other thing. All right, I'm gonna get some bread in my bread machines. I'm giving my butter a little more time. I think I'll let it come a little more to room temperature, see if it works for me, and if it doesn't, I'm still going to add some salt to this, and we'll just use it as some whipped butter kind of thing. We'll see. Thankfully, I didn't do very much cream in there, so I didn't waste too much if it doesn't work out. This leftover whey can be used for a lot of different things. I will probably dump it, but one day I would love to have pigs or chickens that can eat it. I know a lot of people bake with it. The buttermilk that we get out of butter, we use for making pancakes and things, but we haven't made much use of our whey yet. Before I do the bread, I'm actually gonna get dinner in the crock pot, and while I'm prepping it, I'll show you what I'm making, but while I'm prepping it, let me show you what was for dinner last night. What's for dinner tonight is some chicken legs from the freezer. One of my kids already ate. He had to run off somewhere. So we got a lot of chicken legs, some green beans from the freezer, and we're doing baked potatoes baked in the pressure cooker. So, ooh, don't look at the food on the edge. That's very hard to clean out. It's good eating tonight. And here is dinner. We have not spent any money yet. I mean, besides those shorts and a little food I already showed you. We're doing good on our no spend January and really eating out of our freezers. I'm having to meal plan a lot. Meal planning makes all the difference, and I'm not doing it way ahead. I'm doing it one day ahead. So every day I figure out what's for dinner the next day, make sure I pull out the meat or whatever is required, do anything I can ahead of time, and that's keeping me successful. For dinner tonight, I have 3 pork shoulder roasts. I definitely would not need this much. I just happened to thaw that and was looking for something to make with it. And so I'm using one of my Aunt Bo's recipes. She taught my mom how to make this meal, and then my mom taught me. It's a really, really good one. I'm gonna put pinto beans in here, a lot of them. This thing is gonna fill up the crock pot. Actually, I think I'll just do the whole half gallon. And this will make several meals for us. Maybe we will even, I'm doing Rotel, a couple cans of that. But she used green chilies. I just don't have that, and I'm not buying stuff. So we'll make do with this. It will be a couple meals for us. That's the garlic cubes, which I'll either freeze some or we'll do leftovers for several nights. So oregano, chili powder. The way you eat this meal is you eat it on something else. So on rice or with tortillas or that kind of thing. And cumin. I am measuring real well, you can see here. I'm gonna throw in some salt and cover it with water. Then I'll cook it for 5 hours or 6 hours maybe. Probably on high for a while. I think it's supposed to be 6 hours on low, but I've got really big roasts in there, so I don't really trust that. I will come back in the evening and show you the result of this meal. I bet you anything I'll be transferring it to our roaster soon because those beans are gonna grow and this is ridiculous. What do you know? It worked after I let it set for a minute. Here's my butter. I'm impressed. I thought that one was a lost cause. All right, now I'm going to salt my butter a little. Isn't that pretty? I can't even believe it turned out. I'm just impressed right now. So much for my humility, right? Just kidding. Okay, I'm squishing this in. I just joke, guys, I joke. This looks good. It's gonna be yummy. I do keep it in the fridge. It doesn't last on the counter like the store-bought butter. I don't know why, it just doesn't last very long. So we keep it in the fridge and just a little bit of butter. I didn't use much cream. And I have some buttermilk, some nice buttermilk to use. So let's see if I can show you for pancakes. I keep eating the cheese. It is so good. A little tough still, but definitely better than last time. Getting better. Okay, last thing is I wanted to tell you that I have come up with that I feel like is a homesteading skill is making my own bread. Now I do use bread makers. I love my bread makers. If you're looking for a bread maker, I will always recommend thrift stores and garage sales because people get them and decide they don't like them, and you can get brand new ones even for almost nothing. But I use my bread makers to mix up the dough and then I bake it in the oven generally. I got some dough ready to go in. all ready to go in. So we've been making bread for a long time. Got someone playing with a ping pong ball behind me. We've been making it for a long time. I'm still working on, oh, it's not a ping pong ball, it's a plastic ornament. I've still been working on perfecting tortillas. We've done bagels quite a few times. Right now, I'm working on the dinner roll. I just want it lighter and airier. There's all kinds of breads we've made, and I would like to keep making more and more. But bread has saved us, making bread has saved us so much money, especially if we were to buy the same quality ingredients. Speaking of quality, we also a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago, started grinding our own wheat. I love this mock mill. I have a link for it that does give a discount for it if you're interested, but grinding our own wheat is something we finally pulled the plug on when we looked at the ingredients and flour. Just flour. So it's obviously a lot healthier to do it this way. You can store a lot of wheat berries, which is great. So it lasts a lot longer than flour that's already ground from the store. And then it also is very good quality for your bread. It tastes amazing when it's fresh ground flour for your bread. So that's another thing that we've done that we've really, really loved. I think the grinder and the digital pressure canner are my two favorite purchases. They're both kind of large purchases, but they have taken my homesteading skills to a whole nother level, and I love them both a lot. So let me tell you a few things that I really would like to learn, but I'm gonna get this bread in my machines here, get it going. Tori, how's it going in your life?
I'm doing good.
You're doing good. Your last few days of being 11. How does it feel? Your literal last day of being 11.
It feels about the same.
I'm about to clean up my mess, and then I have a meeting all afternoon. So Micah's gonna keep an eye on my dinner and make sure it doesn't overflow. Transfer it to our huge roaster if it looks like it might. And then Belle, in between what she has going on today, she's going to finish up the steps on my yogurt and my bread. She knows how to do all that stuff well. I love that my kids are learning skills. They may not know everything how to do it beginning to end, but they've done enough parts of different things, including canning, that I know that when they have their own kitchens, they will not be afraid to try anything, which is awesome. So there's a couple skills that I really would like to learn soon. I was gonna share those with you. One is making vanilla. I already ordered the vanilla beans. I just need to get myself to go buy vodka or rum, but I really wanna make our own vanilla. Juna and I talk about it all the time. We gotta do that. Another thing is making candles. It's something I wanted to do over Christmas, but we got sick. I have all the supplies for it. Beeswax candles. Really wanna do that. I would love to make my own soap. That's not something I've ever done, but I've heard that it's pretty easy to make your own laundry soap, maybe other soaps, maybe bar soaps. So that's something I would like to do, but maybe not quite as soon. I'm working on the dinner roll right now, perfecting that. I don't know if we'll get it perfect. Boy, she is just playing with all the balls at my feet. But something we do want to do very soon is render fat. So we have, when we got our last pig, we asked for all the fat from it, and I think we got it for free that they would normally throw out or someone else would take. Ready? Go get it. So we want to render that. I've watched a lot of videos. It seems super easy. It will make lard for us. So another thing to cook with that we're already getting. When we get our next cow, we also want to get the fat from that and make tallow, which I think might help us make some lotions and creams, plus fat to cook with. So yeah, I have a lot of things on my list. I would love to make pasta one day, but I'm looking at a pasta machine, a maker. We've done some handmade pastas. It's time consuming. I would love to get better at tortillas, something I keep trying and trying, but I'm determined one day I will be better at it. And one thing we for sure we want to do good this year is to make homemade pizzas. We've done them in the past, but never had like a really tried and true thing that we love, that's easy, that we can go to again and again. That's cinnamon, yeah. But I have cinnamon and sugar too. I'll get it for you in a second. So making pizzas and making that a thing where we're not buying pizzas anymore, it's definitely a big goal. So I would love to hear from you guys. I'm gonna come back and show you our dinner, but I would love to hear from you while I find her cinnamon and sugar. Here it is, Noelle. What homesteading skills do you guys do? Do you make sourdough, or what do you do that you would consider a homesteading skill, or what maybe would you love to learn? I would love to hear that. And yeah, I'll show you dinner before I sign off for the day. This is after I sort of broke up all the roast and mixed it with the beans. It's good if it kind of mashes a lot of the beans. About half of them, I would say, got mashed up in the process. I had added some more salt, pulled out a few bones and some fat there. It actually is really good. I used to make this all the time. I don't know why I stopped. So tonight we'll have it in tortillas, in taco shells with sour cream and cheese on top. Very, very good that way. And then the next night we'll probably have it, or the next time we eat it, we'll have it on brown rice in bowls, also probably with cheese and maybe tomatoes and lettuce and sour cream on top. So it's a good dinner, and obviously it took me about 2 seconds to throw together. I could have definitely gone a little heavier on the spices with how much I made, but very good, and we'll do that again. So on top of it, on the tortillas, we'll do cheese, sour cream, salsa, and lots of lime juice. That'll make it really good, whether it's in the burrito or in the rice bowl. I'm gonna make sure tonight I pull out some meat for tomorrow. It's another birthday here tomorrow. Something very specific was requested. We'll take care of. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
We made butter.
We made butter.